Hi, my name is Sogia Flores. I am focusing on the first part of Chapter 3, which is the overview of the policy formulation phase. In this particular part of the chapter, we focus on three major factors that drive an agenda into legislation. We basically have to set the agenda, which is addressing a particular problem or health issue that affects a good portion of the population or has enough of a political drive from a pre-existing condition that it can actually move on to the next stage. In order to set an agenda, like I said, we need to have a problem. A lot of the problems that affect us nowadays, for example, can be pre-existing condition, high-cost prescription medications, amongst others. I have an example in the HIPAA Act of 1996. A lot of people were not comfortable changing or switching jobs because of potential questions with regards to pre-existing conditions when they wanted to apply for health insurance. They were afraid they were going to get denied. Therefore, the agenda was set that these kind of things were not going to be able to be disclosed as to other jobs as a limiting factor in order for you to get the job, but as personal information. Then we have possible solutions to a problem. With this said, we most of the time we like to find alternative solutions to our problems before actually moving it up higher in the legislation process. For this, we mostly try to use a lot of research agencies to help determining if we can figure out different solutions to a lot of these problems and to make it delivered effectively by analyzing what can potentially work. This in turn can help shape the policy agenda. A lot of the processes with regards to developing alternatives and making decisions based on this is called, according to Long, as the rational model of decision making, where we actually define the problem, develop a relevant solution, alternative, or we develop different alternatives where the criteria might change, and then potentially select a solution. In addition, political circumstances aid an agenda to legislation also. If there's enough of a drive or force, and enough public opinion and enough interest groups, for example, like the president or other political figures, might have a better chance at driving a policy through, an agenda into policy. So basically this is the start of what can become a policy, but it also focuses on establishing an agenda, finding a problem, seeing what we can do about it before, and using what resources we have to move forward.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rebecca. So the part of the presentation I'll be talking about is about the interest groups' involvement in agenda setting. There are actually a lot of interest groups, and they play an integral part in agenda setting through a variety of tactics that are used in each group. So the interest groups are actually pretty much made up of organizations or individuals who present a unified position to policymakers on their preferences regarding a particular problem or solution. So the four tactics I'm actually going to speak about are the four interest groups tactic, which are lobbying, electioneering, litigation, and sharing public opinion. So the first tactic that we're going to talk about is lobbying. I found this a really nice picture that kind of like breaks down lobbying in different sectors, but mostly lobbying has had a negative connotation. But it's more than just communicating with policymakers to influence them on the decisions to be more favorable to that of what they're lobbying. Lobbyists actually provide a source of information for policymakers in the area they're experts in. And they also assist policymakers with the development of execution of political strategy, as well as assist in elected policymakers in their freedom in re-election efforts. And also they're an important source of innovative ideas for policymakers. So even though they have a negative connotation of forcing people to believe on their side or influence them, they actually provide a lot of information to policymakers, and they actually are fundamental in getting policymakers reelected again. So the next tactic is electioneering. So electioneering is the use of resources that's disposable to aid a candidate for political office. So the most the most popular one is actually um, providing money, channeling money into campaign finances. But this interest groups have resources that involve electoral advantage or disadvantage political candidates. So they kind of push to elect certain people into power. And they also work to endorse candidates who support their interest and work to get them elected. So it's kind of like if candidate A is supporting what they're saying, they're going to provide money or also kind of push for people to vote for this particular individual in office. The next one is litigation. So sometimes in challenges in existing policies, they use to stimulate new policies or try to alter certain aspects of policy implementation. So this can be used in both state and federal courts, and interest groups increasingly employ its efforts to influence policymakers in the health domain. So you get hit with like court cases and things of that nature to also boost or change a certain view. So this actually is an attractive tactic that doesn't have a large economical resource or influential members, but it can also be used for the judicial branch and more futile in their efforts as well. So that's what litigation is. And last but not least, there's sharing public opinion. So this is actually a way for electors' opinions to actually be seen. So you have different things, a different variety of resources such as television, radio, print advertising, and people writing letters to their representatives in Congress. So basically, when these letters and these ads are being shown, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to vote for that person. This person holds my opinions. And that way it kind of um, drives the interest or agenda setting when it comes to policymakers. And last but not least, the success of an interest group is measured by the resources available to them. So, most important, physical resources, money, and the number of members is actually number one key. So, if you have a lot of people supporting you, then definitely you're going to have more influence. Also, organizational resources. So, the quality of group leadership that you have, the degree of unity, the cohesion, the group is a group able to mobilize and actually work towards certain goals. And also political resources. So kind of using public policymaker process, reputation, and then also motivational resources. So strength and ideological conviction among the memberships. And an intangible one is kind of like the overall prestige and the respect that this group has. So these are just some of the things that go into interest groups and agenda settings. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Melanie Butler and I will focus on the fourth part of the Module 3 presentation, the nature of health policy agenda. The health policy agenda can often cause discussions and strong opinions due to the absence of clear-cut solutions and its constantly changing nature. We can see this with the current issues involving the Trump administration wanting to repeal Obamacare. Some citizens believe that Obamacare is too expensive and unsustainable, while its supporters believe that it has saved many lives and is necessary to improve public health in America. These strong opinions can cause overcrowding and confounding. Global warming involves similar issues. Some think global warming is a hoax, and the U.S. shouldn't go into more depth to prevent or minimize its damages it has caused, while others believe that the administration and all citizens should do whatever they can to solve the global warming issue. As we can see, setting a health policy agenda is a difficult task and often has multiple solutions, but it should be seen as a window of opportunity to creating a new legislation. We're therefore going to go into our conclusion, which, as we had mentioned before, agenda setting describes a problem, possible solutions, and the political circumstances involved. Our interest groups are are usually comprised of people that have similar opinions and preferences towards a certain problem or its solution, and the interest groups usually approach agenda setting with four tactics, including lobbying, electioneering, litigation, and sharing public opinion. The president, of course, plays a vital role in influencing the agenda for the nation, along with the governor, media, and American people. And in longest words, agenda setting is a window of opportunity. Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact any one of us. Have a great day.